Perfect. Hopefully you all can see this. So I'm going to go through the agenda right now. First, we're going to have some opening remarks from Dr. Robert Stackman, Jr. He's the Dean of the Graduate College. I'm going to play a short video for you guys that highlights some of the really cool things that are happening on campus right now. Then we'll go into detail about financial aid information. And then we'll have testing and evaluation speak. We have a representative from the Test Preparation Center. And then we'll go into all things graduate admissions, and we'll do Q&A at the end. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Stackman.
So thank you very much for everyone joining us. I understand that these are uncertain times and everything, but your interest in graduate programs is really inspirational. So I just wanted to take a moment to kind of dispel a couple myths about graduate programs. And so the ones that I hear often are shown on the screen here. So, and I appreciate Jordan for sticking this in. So a lot of things we hear is, oh, it's just like undergrad all over again. So it just means more courses and so forth. Or it's too expensive and there's no way I could afford it. As well as I often hear, it really should be called graduate school because it's going to take me forever to finish that degree, right? So I just wanted to take a moment and kind of go through these and tell you from the perspective of the graduate college at FAU a little bit more about graduate programs. So as you're thinking about graduate training, graduate school is a whole different animal than undergrad. And what does that mean? Well, I think about it as your training in graduate school is very, very focused on some specific area. You're going to become an expert in some very specific discipline or very specific topic of interest. So of course, there's courses like that you took as undergraduates, but the courses are usually smaller, less students, and more focused on a particular topic. And as well, the real focus of graduate programs are typically to provide you time to do your own independent research, create your own scholarship. And so the expectations that many graduate students should have in master's and doctoral programs is that you'll be publishing your own journal articles, perhaps, writing book chapters, giving performances, and so forth. It's common for graduate students to attend national conferences and some international conferences even, where you're presenting your own research. And so those are some things that make it very different. And really, depending, as the slide says, depending on your area of interest, this advanced degree can really be the key to boosting your career, your earning potential. It might be the key to employment. And in some ways, for graduate degrees, they're really essential for making certain career paths possible. So that's really the first one. It's too expensive. We hear this a lot. And yes, education is expensive, but some of the things that I find that students aren't always so familiar with is that programs for graduate students are often including, have the opportunity for students to apply for assistantships. These are teaching assistantships or research assistantships. If you're in an undergraduate program now, you're probably familiar with some teaching assistants that might be assisting in your courses or actually teaching some of your courses. So students are eligible for assistantships, and the nice thing about this is that they come with paid stipends and in many cases tuition waiver. And what's new at FAU for fall 2020 is that students that are employed in graduate assistantship programs or positions rather will be eligible for a subsidy for health insurance. As well, there's other opportunities for funding. As you can see on the slide here, there's often fellowships and scholarships available to students. And also, if you're thinking about working and pursuing that graduate degree, there's often educational benefits from employers. If you're already an employee for FAU, for example, there's some educational benefits that are rolled into the FAU position. So that's certainly an advantage. And then the other one that I always heard when I was going through graduate school, we would always joke about the fact that it was gradual because it really did take a while. The idea of taking 3 courses per semester is really the idea. It's not necessarily that the courses are super difficult, so you can only tolerate 3 of them. They are more difficult typically, but they're limiting your enrollment to give you that time to pursue that independent research and scholarship. And so that's really the idea, that there's lots of reading, that focused and attention on a particular topic area, time to devote to your own research. And then the other thing to think about it is that the time it takes is really part of that investment. You're building a knowledge base, and you're building an identity of your body of work that's demonstrated by those publications, performances, and so forth. And so it really does take time for that. So that's what I think about as the investment in your future. So if there aren't specific questions to me, I'll turn it right back over to Jordan.
So we'll move right over into financial aid. So what is important? If any of you are planning on starting your programs in fall 2020, spring 21, or summer 21, the FAFSA, which is the Federal Application for Federal Student Aid, is open now. It's available now. So our priority deadline was January 1st, and then our secondary deadline was March 1st. Now, don't get into a panic, because that doesn't mean that you can't still submit your FAFSA. Absolutely submit it if you think you're going to be starting your programs then. Our school code is right here at the bottom. If you forget this code, no worries. All you have to do is just type in Florida Atlantic University, and it'll get right over to our financial aid office. If you think that you will be starting fall 2021, spring 2022, or summer 2022, the FAFSA that you will want to fill out is going to be opening on October 1st. So keep that in mind, and then keep those priority deadlines in mind as well. All right, so some of the financial aid that's available for graduate students, the first thing that you're going to get offered right away is a federal student loan. And then there's grants, scholarships, fellowships, assistantships, and then, as Dr. Stackman mentioned, employer tuition reimbursement. So for that, you would have to ask your employer about what they offer. So the first thing I'm going to cover are the financial aid loans. So unlike undergrad, when you're a graduate student, you get offered an unsubsidized loan, which essentially means that the interest begins accruing at the time of disbursement. So while you don't need to make any payments on the principal of your loan, if you can make the interest payments, that is what the financial aid office suggests. This is no credit check. It's based off your FAFSA data that you submit. There's an annual limit of $20,500, so that would be between fall, spring, and summer. And then a lifetime limit of $138,500. So that would be anything that you borrowed as an undergrad, anything you plan to borrow for your graduate studies, and then if you move on to a doctoral degree, that would include anything that you would borrow then. If you cap out at $138,000, or you just need more money per year, you can always apply for a direct graduate plus loan. This is not automatically awarded. You have to apply through studentloans.gov. It is going to be a higher interest rate, and then this one is based on a credit check because it's an additional loan. The next thing that you might be eligible for is the FAU Graduate Student Grant. Now, this is based on financial need. And that's why we say that your FAFSA has to be in by January 1st, because funds are limited. It's a first come, first served grant, and it's based off of the information that you enter into your FAFSA. So I've seen students get this. It's about $1,200 per semester, so it does cover a course, which is very nice. So keep that in mind. And then also keep in mind that unlike undergrad, graduate students are no longer eligible to receive the Pell Grant. So if you were used to receiving that as an undergrad, that's not something that you can receive during your graduate studies. Scholarship. So this is a snippet from the financial aid website. There are a ton of internal FAU scholarships that you can apply for. The great thing about these, as long as they don't explicitly say that you have to be an undergraduate student, you're eligible to apply for any of the scholarships on this site. So it just goes on and on and on, and then you just apply through your My FAU account when the application's open for the year. nslds.ed.gov. This is a great tool where you can go to kind of look at the status of your previous loans, see how much you've borrowed, who is servicing your loans, what their status is, if you're in repayment, if they're deferred for right now. So this is just a very good tool to kind of keep handy. Bright Futures. Some of you, especially if you're a Florida resident, may have received Bright Futures as an undergraduate student. If you graduated in 7 semesters or fewer, you could be eligible for an additional semester of funding with Bright Futures. This is not something that's automatically awarded. You would need to contact your financial aid counselor, and they can look to see and determine if you are still eligible for an additional semester of funding. What is important to know about this is if you are receiving that additional semester of Bright Futures funding, it's going to be paid at the undergraduate tuition rate, and then you would pay the difference between the undergraduate tuition and the graduate tuitions. So it's not all of it, but it does help a significant amount. Enrollment. So in order to receive any sort of financial aid from the university, you have to be enrolled at least half-time. So half-time for fall and spring is 4.5 to 6 credits. And then what we consider full-time as a graduate student is 9 credits. So if you take a full 9-credit load, you're going to be awarded the maximum amount of financial aid. If you're only half of those credits, then your financial aid will be adjusted so that you're only receiving half. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're doing your enrollment. If you want to maximize your financial aid, you'll want to enroll in the maximum number of credits. So before you borrow, you obviously want to determine how much you need. You don't want to over borrow and be paying back your student loans forever. So you can do a affordable cost calculation on the FAU website that can kind of determine how much your tuition is going to be based on credits, what the fees are going to be, and then it gives you an estimation for what you'll need for books as well. So really, we just want to encourage you to only borrow what you need. This is just a recap of the resources. So the nslds.ed.gov website, studentloans.gov, FAFSA.gov. This is where you're going to fill out your FAFSA application. Please make sure you're doing it on the .gov website. Much like a lot of things in this world, there's a lot of phony websites out there that are trying to get your information. So just make sure that you're going and accessing it through the FAFSA.gov because there is a lot of very sensitive information that you're submitting. And then the financial aid website is fau.edu/finaid. And then once you're admitted, you're automatically assigned a financial aid counselor. You'll be able to find their contact information in your My FAU account. His name is Ash. It's one gentleman for the entire graduate student population, and then you can contact him with any questions that you have regarding your financial aid package, if your FAFSA has been received, if you are a Bright Future student and you want to see if you have any funding remaining, he would be the best point of contact for you. So I did put their website here and their telephone number, so you have it there for you. All right, so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Mark Wharton. He is the Assistant Director for Test Preparation, and he is going to be going through test prep. So let's unmute Mark here. All right, I think you're on, Mark.
Perfect. Thanks, Jordan. I am with the Test Prep Department, part of the Test Center at FAU, and I want to provide some information on the graduate entrance exams that many, if not most of you, will be required to submit, the current take-it-home options that are available, and then what's going on with test preparation for those exams. So starting with registering for your exam, you're going to note that if you go to our website, fau.edu, testing and evaluation, the very first thing you're going to see is that to register for your exams, you're actually going to go online to the individual exams homepage. So I think the next slide shows that. Yes. So these are the exams offered at our Boca campus. And to register for the GRE, you're going to gre.org. Same thing as you see on the screen with LSAT, the Miller's Analogies, the MCAT, and the TOEFL exams. Registration is on their individual websites. Now, taking it home. So due to the COVID emergency or pandemic, each of these exams is operating for the moment as online proctored at-home exams. So the GRE is not offering any in-person, but what they are offering is on every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 24 hours a day, live proctored online exams. So you would go to gre.org and register. You can register as early as 24 hours before you wish to take the test. So there isn't a need for advanced registration. And at the moment, there is no published date when they will be back available in person. However, the online is available through June 30th. Now with the GMAT, it's slightly different. You have the option to take it in person, not at FAU, but at a Pearson VUE Center. The nearest one to us at FAU in Boca is in Deerfield, but there's also locations in Plantation, Doral, and in downtown Miami at FIU. So you can, in theory, take it in person, but the first available date to take the GMAT in person is August 24th in this local area. There are no June or July seats available. And so if you do take it online, because you need to take it, let's say, prior to that August date, the GMAT's available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, to be taken online. And same thing, you go to mba.com to register for that. And then there are several of these English proficiency exams available, and they are also available online. So that includes the TOEFL, Duolingo, and the International English Language Testing System exam. And again, each of them are available on their website to register. You may have questions about this online format, so at the end of the presentation, I'll stay around and answer any questions that you might specifically have. But let's then move on to the exams and some of the information. So the two most common are likely to be the GRE number 1 and the GMAT number 2. As you see there on the slide, the GRE is $205. That's each time you sit for it. There are 3 sections of the GRE. The writing is 2 different essays. The quantitative is math. And then verbal is English comprehension, vocabulary, and arguments. The entire time testing window for a GRE is approximately 4.5 hours. You will actually take a test that's about 3.5 hours long, but between checking in and checking out, it could take longer. Now, those timetables refer to taking it in the center. If you're taking it online, the window will be shorter because you don't go through the process of checking in and putting your belongings in a locker and some of the in-person procedures. When we do open back up, the GRE can be taken at the FAU Boca campus in our testing center. The GMAT is $250 each time you sit for it. It has 4 sections, 1 essay. Again, the quantitative is math. Integrated reasoning is really data interpretation. It's tables, charts, and graphs, and your ability to read information from them. And then the verbal on the GMAT is reading comprehension, arguments, and a grammar section. And again, the total testing time is approximately 4.5 hours. And again, that refers to in-person testing. Online testing will be quicker because you don't have all the procedures of the test center. And that is a screenshot of the GRE's homepage. That's where you would do a lot of things. One, set up a profile and register. You can see in the upper right-hand corner where it says test centers and dates. And when we are back in-person testing, that's where you would go to see the available seats to schedule. Currently, you don't need to concern yourself with that because you'd be registering for the online exam if you take it prior to June 15th. And then there is not a date when they're going to be back in person. I'm sure they're waiting to see how progress with the pandemic changes the ability to be in person. And then the next screen is the GMAT's homepage, mba.com, and the same thing applies. When you go to that web page, you're going to be directed to the online procedures or the in-person. But as I said, if you try to register, you will find that you can't find a seat in this local South Florida area prior to the end of August. And then here's information on the English proficiency exams. TOEFL is $240 each time you register. It has 4 sections: a reading section, a listening section, a speaking section, and a writing. And again, the in-person estimated time is 3.5 hours, and it can be taken on our campus when we again are testing in person. At the moment, it's online. And then the International English Language Testing System ranges by test location between 215 and 240. Very similarly, a reading, listening, speaking, and writing section. It's somewhat shorter than the TOEFL. And then finally, the Duolingo, which is the newest entrance into this English proficiency testing, but it's actually accepted at very elite universities. So it's a great option. And there are 4 sections as well: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Now let's talk about, those are the websites. And again, you'd be looking to register for the online testing. And then finally, let's talk a brief moment about test preparation. We offer at FAU preparation for the GRE, the GMAT, the LSAT for law school, and the MCAT. All of our programs at the moment are also online instruction. We went from scrambling to finish the semester to having time now to build together, I think, high quality online instruction. The online instruction is what we would call a hybrid. We are doing some live sessions. So for example, the GMAT that's going on right now meets for 2 hours online live, but then we are also posting pre-recorded video lessons as well as supplemental materials. And then we're also available through Zoom or WebEx for live online office hours. So we provide support with online office hours. And that's a quick run through of testing and test prep. And as I mentioned, I'll stay online available because I'm sure there may be some questions.
Yes. So here
and I should mention, in your preparation process, one of the things that I'm always recommending students do first, you need to make a decision. Am I going to self-prepare? And so you could do that by buying a test prep book from Barnes & Noble or Amazon. Am I going to take a course? Or at the highest end of preparation, am I going to hire a one-on-one tutor? Well, the smart way to make that decision is each of these programs have free practice exams where you can then find out where your score is relative to your target score, right? The score requirements. And if you're really close, so for example, GRE, if the requirements are that you score 150 in math and 150 in verbal, and you take a practice test and you're at 148 and 149, by all means, buy a test prep book and self-prepare. If you find that there's more distance between your baseline score and your target score, that's when you may consider a course, and certainly we'd love for that to be an FAU course, and or a tutor. And that's our contact information. I'm Mark Wharton. I'm there on the left of your screen. My phone number and email address, and then that's Frando Patterson, who's the director of the testing center, his information as well. And you have our information provided by the Graduate College.
So we're going to go ahead and move right along here. And I am going to go into all of the information about graduate admissions, all those pressing questions that I know you have. So first I want to start by saying the Graduate College, we are a service college. So our main role is to support your success as a graduate student. We do this in multiple different ways. We have workshops that get hosted throughout the semester with some of our student services. with Career Center and CAPS, which is Counseling and Wellness. We have our thesis and dissertation workshops. So anything that you need as a graduate student, we're just here to support your success. So on your first day of classes, if we're back in person and you get lost on campus, you're more than welcome to kind of pop into our office and ask for directions. We'd be happy to kind of point you in the right direction. If you need a pen or a stress ball, those are all things that we can provide to you as well, because being a graduate student sometimes can be very stressful. Here, this is just a quick breakdown of our graduate programs. So you can see that the majority of the programs that we do have at FAU are master's programs. We have a good amount of doctoral programs, and then we have 94 total core programs. That does not include all of the concentrations that you can do within a program. So chances are, if you're looking for something in particular, we're going to have it here at FAU. Financial support. So we went through a lot of this earlier, but really what I want to highlight here are the graduate college fellowships and the assistantships that are available at FAU. So first, the graduate college, we have 5 different fellowships that we offer. We have deadlines every spring semester. So if you're starting your program in the fall, you're eligible to apply right away that following spring. And if you start in the spring, you'll have to wait until you complete some credits before you're eligible to apply. But the Alice Griffin, the Dolores Ayazun, the Graduate Diversity Fellowship, Graduate Fellowship for Academic Excellence, and the Newell Doctoral Fellowship, those are all applications that the Graduate College takes in, we review, and then we send it out to faculty committees that are making decisions on awarding those fellowships. So fellowships is just a fancy word for scholarship. So it's money that's reimbursed to you. You can use it to pay your tuition, you can use it to buy books, things like that. The next thing are assistantships. So these are kind of the cream of the crop here at FAU. We have 3 different types of assistantships currently available. We have a graduate assistant, which is working in like an office on campus. It could just be helping with their day-to-day functions, with front desk, or even helping with prospective students. We have a graduate assistant in the graduate college, and he helps us with prospective student outreach, recruitment. So it depends on the department you're placed in, what type of role that you'll be having. The next thing is a teaching assistant position. So if you know that you want to go into a faculty type position, or if you just want some practice in your field, this is a great opportunity. Teaching positions are awarded by each individual program. They come with tuition waivers and a stipend, and it's all in exchange for just 20 hours a week of work per week. So that's it. And then we help pay for your tuition, and we provide you a stipend as well. Then there's a research assistant position. These are also offered by each individual program. This is exactly what it is. It's you're researching within your field. You're helping, you're working in a lab. This also comes with a tuition waiver and a stipend, and again for 20 hours per week of work. It could be possible that you get offered a combination of a teaching position and a research position. You could be doing 10 hours teaching and 10 hours doing research. It really just depends on what is available through each individual program. And you'll want to have those conversations with your graduate programs and the faculty within the programs to find out what types of opportunities there are and how many positions are available. Now, to find programs at FAU, this is where you're going to go. So this is what our homepage looks like. If you click there on programs, it brings you to a page that looks like this. So on the left side, you're going to have the name of the program, and on the right, it's going to be the level of degree that you can obtain within that program. If you click on the level of degree, it opens up a program sheet. Now on this program sheet, you'll see that it's going to have contact information for the program office. It's going to have the application deadlines. It's going to have the admissions requirements that you need to turn in. It also is going to list any specialization or concentration that you can do within a program. So this is a very good tool. This is like your cheat sheet. This also will then have the website link for the individual program. So if you want to click there, and then you can go over to the program website to find out curriculum information, and research areas. You can see what faculty are doing. You can see everything there. So they put everything on their websites. And then anything that's listed underneath admissions requirements must be turned in with your application by the deadline in order to be considered for the program. So just make sure that when you're ready to apply, you collect all the things that you need, and then you turn it in all together. So pathways. So I know that we have a good handful of current FAU students in this session. The best thing that you can do as a current FAU student would be our combined degree program. So it's our BS.
Yeah, my department has that in history. We have that.
So it really depends on the program. I find that most of the combined degree programs are within the College of Engineering, Science. There's a handful of arts and letters programs. So you just really want to check with your undergraduate academic advisor to see if a combined degree program is an option for you. You need to have credits remaining. You also have to have a minimum GPA of a 3.0. But your undergrad advisor will take a look at the courses you have remaining, and then they'll be able to let you know if you're going to be eligible based on your GPA. Should they give you the green light, they say, yep, you're good for the combined degree program, you're going to take this graduate course instead of this undergraduate course, you're then going to turn around and submit the online graduate college application. That tells us that you're going to be a combined program student, and then we can matriculate you into your graduate program right after you graduate. The next way to accelerate some pathways is to take summer courses. So our summer semester is three little mini semesters put into one. It's a 12-week semester, and then it's got 2 6-week semesters. So you can really stock up your courses and make the most of your summer by taking a couple 6-week courses and maybe a 12-week course to really just stay on track to graduation. Another pathway that we have is for our international students. Should you not meet the English proficiency requirement or the minimum score, you can enroll in our Intensive English Institute, which just really gets you ready, practices your English skills, and gets you ready to study in an academic English setting. And then we have our articulation agreements between our state colleges. Right now it's Palm Beach State, Broward College, Miami-Dade, and Indian River that I know of are the 4 that come off the top of my head. So graduate student success. So you all want to be in these photos. This is really the goal of doing a graduate degree, is getting to that finish line and graduating. So that is what you see on the right are some recent doctoral grads that we had. And then on the left there are our inaugural 3MT, 3-minute thesis winners who all competed and presented their research in 3 minutes or less to win scholarship money, and that all helped with their research. We do this once a year, so when you're in your programs and you're ready to start presenting research and you need a little extra scholarship money, you can sign up to compete in our 3-minute thesis competition. It's going to be in the spring next year, so save the date for that. So FAU by the numbers. I just want to show you kind of our total enrollment and then our graduate student enrollment. So even though FAU is a fairly large institution with just under 30,000 students, we do have a small graduate student population. This is great because it allows the courses to remain small and intimate. It allows you to get one-on-one with those faculty members, with colleagues that are in your courses with you. It allows you to kind of learn and grow together and get that really individualized attention that you should be looking for in a graduate program. And then this is just a summary of our fall 2019 admissions numbers. So you can see we had about 3,700 applications for the fall semester. We admitted about 1,700, and then we ultimately had about 1,300 new students enroll with us last fall. Now, you'll probably notice that there's a lot of numbers missing from there. That's because students, for whatever reason, will withdraw their applications because they decide that they're not attending FAU, or they don't complete their applications, and by not completing it means they don't pay the application fee, or they don't turn in all of the supplemental documents that are required in order for your application to be reviewed. So on that program sheet that I showed you all a little bit ago, you'll really stay focused on those admissions requirements so that you can turn in every single thing that's listed there. That way your application can be considered. If you're applying for graduate school, you're more than likely very interested. You wouldn't be applying if you're not interested. So you just really want to make sure that your application gets reviewed in a very, very timely fashion. So turn in all of those requirements. So here is the process. Step 1 is you're going to apply. You apply through fau.edu/graduate, and it's right under our banner page. There's a big Apply Now button. So you'll hit the Apply Now button. If you've never applied to graduate school at FAU, you'll need to create a new account. If you've applied previously, you can log in with the account that you made previously. Then once you're in the application portal, you'll just go through the motions of filling in all of the requirements, all of the fields. You're going to let us know your previous institutions. You're going to let us know what program you're interested in, if you want to be considered for a fellowship or an assistantship, where you've been working, if you have any work experience that you can include. And the application may also ask you to include your supplemental material. So your supplemental material could be your personal statement, a resume. You may need to upload a writing sample or a portfolio. So it really just depends on the program, which is why I say keep in touch with that program sheet so you know what you need to submit. And I would have those supplemental documents ready just in case it asks for it in your application. About 50% of our applications right now are set up to take all of your supplemental documents within the application itself. So just hold on to those things, have them saved and ready to go. After you fill out all the material in the application and you hit submit, it's going to give you the option to pay your $30 application fee then, or you can go back and pay it later. I recommend that you go ahead and just pay your application fee right then. That way you don't forget about it. Your application gets reviewed as soon as possible. As soon as you hit that application fee, within 24 to 48 hours, we're reviewing your application and sending it over to the programs for review. Okay, so submit the payment. The next thing is you need to submit your transcripts from any previously attended institution. So this is important. It includes any like community college credits that you would have transferred into your bachelor's degree. It's your bachelor's degree transcript. If you're applying for a doctoral program, you'll want to include your bachelor's and your master's degree transcripts. Any coursework or anybody that graduated from FAU, you do not need to submit transcripts because we have all of your student records on file. So please do not spend the $10 to send your transcripts to FAU. It is not necessary. We have everything we need. You'll then need to submit your test scores, and you'll notice that this says if required. So much like the social work program where they don't have any entrance exam requirements, not every program has an entrance exam. So that's where that program sheet comes into handy. If you see that there's a GRE or a GMAT listed there, or if you're a non-native English speaker, you may need to do an English proficiency exam. That is all listed right there, and it'll let you know what the score, the target score requirements are, and then what exam you need to take. And you only need to submit scores if your program requires it. And then lastly, you want to submit those supplemental documents. So if you know that your program requires a supplemental document, but it did not ask for it in your application, you will want to reach out to your program to find out how they would like to receive those documents. Right now, a lot of them are just taking them via email. Sometimes, especially with some of the arts programs, where you have to put together a portfolio, they actually want to see something physically. So in that case, you would have to mail them something or bring it in person for them. So you just need to ask them how they would like to receive it. Okay, so supplemental documents are an important part of your application, and don't forget to submit those. And then these are going to be my top admissions tips. So number one, know your deadlines. This is very important because our programs sometimes don't admit 3 times a year. Sometimes the program that you're looking at is only going to be admitting once a year, and you don't want to miss, like if you're ready to start your program now, you don't want to miss that opportunity to join the program right away. So just know your programs, know your deadlines, and stay in check with those program sheets. Number 2, complete your FAFSA. Even if you know you don't need a federal loan, you know you're going to get employer tuition reimbursement, or you're able to pay for it out of pocket, fill out your FAFSA anyway. This is important because some of the graduate college fellowships and some of the graduate college scholarships require that you have a FAFSA on file because we need to see that there's financial need there in order to award them. So just fill it out anyway. Get in the habit of just every year when that application opens, submitting it on October 1st. Number 3, search for fellowship, scholarship, and awards early. It's never too early to start looking at what type of funding is out there for your studies. The graduate college fellowships, while we only take applications in the spring, we have all of the requirements listed there year round so that you can see what you'll need to start gathering and what you need in order to be eligible. Same thing with the financial aid scholarships. They are on a spring cycle just like ours are, but they have them posted year round so that you can see all the requirements. And there is also on the financial aid website a list of external websites where you can find scholarships as well. So there is a ton of resources out there, and you just really have to go seeking and then write that essay and turn in that application, because there could be a lot of funding out there for you. Number 4, if you need to, take your GRE and GMAT. If your program is requiring one of these exams, they're going to be unable to make an admission decision until you take this exam and they see your scores. So take that. And like Mark mentioned earlier, for the GMAT, they don't have any in-person testing until August in our area. So depending on the time of year, you may run into an issue where you can't find any seats. So you want to just know your deadline and then start planning ahead when you need to start taking that exam. Apply early. So if you want to submit your application now, we have applications open through spring 21 right now, and then we'll be opening summer and fall closer to the fall semester. So apply early, get everything in. That way you can have peace of mind knowing that the department has received everything that they need to make a decision on you, and then you can just take it easy and just wait for your admission decision to come back. Number 6, make sure to submit all application materials. So as I mentioned, this is important. They cannot make an admission decision until they have seen all of your application materials. So that's your resume, your personal statements, that's your letters of recommendation, writing samples, things like that. Number 7, know the faculty and staff at the department level. So for those of you that are looking for an assistantship position, whether it be teaching or research, this is important because once you get to know the faculty, you can get an idea of if they're going to be looking for an assistant or if they're not. You can get to know their research. You can get to know what they're looking for in a candidate to their programs. This is just a good practice. They are also the people that know everything about their program. They're in it, they're living it, and they're doing it every single day. So they will be the best people to direct questions to should you have specific questions about the curriculum or fellowship and assistantship opportunities. And then finally, reach out to the graduate college with any questions that you have. Like I said at the very beginning, we are a support college, so we are here for you. So if you get stuck at any point during the admissions process, or if you've been reaching out to a program office and you're not getting a response and you're kind of hitting a wall, you can always contact us and then we can facilitate that connection for you and kind of point you in the right direction. And then here's my contact information. I am the prospective student advisor. So if any of you would like to send me an email or you can call me, we could schedule a phone advising appointment or a Skype appointment. That way you can get all of your questions answered regarding specific graduate programs. Or if you're torn between 2 different programs, I would be a good person to kind of talk out each program, what they require, and then some of the courses and whatnot.